Hello, Year 12. I hope all of you are doing well. I wanted to have one more lesson on the local political life of Pompeii and Herculaneum right before our non-assessment. So this is just kind of a review of all that, even though I know you all would have been studying very hard over the holidays. Just a reminder, this shouldn't be your only access to the work. You should be moving through your work booklet. These are just kind of some supplementary videos before we all come together and break down some practice questions, okay? Thank you to those that have sent me their Xerxes questions as well. I will try and get to those as quickly as possible. All right, so let's move forward with this. Here's our syllabus dot point here. It's pretty straightforward. It's in your booklet, okay? Okay, so politics in Pompeii and Herculaneum. So we know politics was very important because we're left with an abundance of evidence. We've got buildings, we've got statues, we've got graffiti. So that gives us a bit of an insight into politics being quite important for Pompeii. We also know that the politicians themselves, they're held in quite high regard. Okay, the eligibility to actually become one of the senior magistrates, even the junior magistrates, is quite specific. So it's not just anyone can be a politician. Okay, it has to be a man, always a man. Never women could be a politician. It had to be someone of great wealth, standing, respect, and influence. Okay, so sorry, ladies, you're not really given a fair go for ancient Pompeii and Herculaneum, unfortunately. Okay, so as was typical of Roman towns, they're known as self-governing municipalities. Okay, what that basically means is they are still, Rome has absolute power at the end of the day, and Rome could still, whatever laws were passed in Rome, Pompeii and Herculaneum had to follow. But largely speaking, Pompeii and Herculaneum ran themselves, really. They weren't really intervened with much by Rome. So they largely just governed themselves, okay? We do see an importance of the Rome, imperial Rome and stuff in Pompeii and Herculaneum, which is on the following couple of slides. So bear with me on that. Females, their only participation is through this kind of campaigning and support for a particular candidate, which we've covered already. Okay, so things like the programmata, which is unique to Pompeii, are basically painted posters, and it wasn't all women, but basically we see, trying to drum up some of that kind of support for a particular candidate. Okay. The programmata shows us how politically aware that particularly Pompeii was, and the election time would have been really quite intense. We find all the programmata in Pompeii, and as I'll also mention later, it was much more intense politically in Pompeii than it was in Herculaneum. All right, so just to move over that influence of Rome, guys, we see dedications, arches, shrines. We even find some like cults to imperial kind of members, okay? In the northeast corner of the forum, which we come back to later as well, the forum, the Macellum, we actually see some shrines at the back of the Macellum, okay? At the back of the shrine, these little holes here, they're known as niches, and in those niches, we actually find some statues there of an emperor with two statues flanking him to the left and right, okay? So this would have probably been like a form of shrines for one of the imperial cults in Pompeii. Okay, so this shows us that the Roman imperial family and the Roman imperial government is still quite important here in Pompeii as well. Okay. In Herculaneum as well, we do find things as well, such as the Augusteum. The name itself should be a bit of a giveaway as to the importance of emperors and stuff like that. And these are two statues from the Augusteum. The deified is semi like a godlike kind of figure, colossal statue. And then we've got Claudius as well, who's a Roman emperor as well. This is also found in the Augusteum. Okay, it's a similar. The building itself is a similar shape to the Basilica of Pompeii, and there are statues there of some of the elite of Rome. Okay, so some prominent citizens of Pompeii and Herculaneum, guys. In my honest opinion, burn some of these names into your brain. Okay, it's going to be very important. They're going to, especially Marcus Nonius Bulbus of Herculaneum. He's kind of a name that pops up a lot. So really, really good idea to understand who they are, because more than likely, if you're writing about Herculaneum, you are going to end up talking about Marcus Nonius Bulbus. Okay, and he's on the right. Okay, he's the one that needs a bit of a hand over here. He wants some applause. Yes, my partner is getting sick of my bad jokes, so I need to get them out elsewhere. Then we've got over on the left here, Marcus Fulconius Rufus, and he's one of our prominent citizens of Pompeii. Okay, Aulus Claudius Flaccus, Aulus Veius, and Marcus Tullius are some other prominent citizens of Pompeii. Okay, what we find in Pompeii, the Forum. Okay, we've kind of covered the Forum a bit, because when we looked at economic activity, we did cover some of the buildings here. So we've got kind of around this end, we've got things like, so the Eumarchia is here, the Olatorium is here. So we have covered some buildings here. So the Forum's not just about economic activity, though. We also find probably around the southern end is our kind of political section of the Forum. Okay, the Basilica over here. The Basilica was once a market, but it became a sort of a law court. Okay, and that's where we find our senior magistrates operating, probably our junior magistrates as well, but our senior magistrates over those courts would have been operating out of here, the Basilica. Okay, the Comitium over here, that acts as like a people's assembly of sorts. This is where the voting would have taken place. Okay, and then these three buildings here, the municipal offices, we're not really sure completely of their function. But they could be offices of the decurions. Okay. All right. What we find at Herculaneum, the Forum is still yet to be excavated. Likely we will not see the Forum in our lifetime. Okay. Only 1/5 of Herculaneum has actually been excavated. Okay, this makes telling what political life in Herculaneum a little bit tricky, a little bit hard to determine. So we understand less about political activity and political life in Herculaneum than we do in Pompeii. Okay, the Forum is still yet to be excavated. Okay, this photo here. This is a photo of the main street, the Decumanus Maximus, okay? And that is located up here on the map, all right? This is actually a view. If you were here, you're standing around here and you're viewing down this street here. Now, the Forum is off our main street here, okay? So we expect that the Forum is likely to have functioned in the same capacity as Pompeii. Okay. All right. Guys, in terms of going over the particular political classes, I'm not going to go over that too much. There's a little activity for you for you to do if you so wish. The find the fib activity. If you listen to the instructions, it will kind of map out what you're meant to do. You don't have to do it, but it's there for you to do. Guys, just to understand, our senior magistrates, our Dumviri Quinquennali, and even our aediles, there is more of a strict, a more selective eligibility to become one of those. Okay, not anyone who's anyone could be one of those positions. You had to really come from a good stock in order to gain one of those positions. And with those positions came a lot of responsibilities, like important responsibilities. But there's also some benefits and wealth that comes out of those positions as well. Okay, your decurion, there's less eligibility to there is still some degree of like kind of narrowness to become a decurion, but there's less than our more senior positions. Okay, and they hold positions of deliberation, and they kind of assist with powers with kind of day-to-day public life. Okay, and we'll come back to that in a sec as well. Our People's Assembly, lower classes, all males over 25. Okay, so they take part with voting and things like that, and they met in the comitium, as we've already discussed, to hold those votes. Okay, now there's a few things here later on in our core study of Pompeii and Herculaneum. There is a section talking about technology and how it has given us new understandings or challenged old understandings to what we understand. Here's an example of it taking place, and it also reveals some of our kind of. I'll go back to the previous slide in a second. How our kind of senior positions kind of carried out their functions and responsibilities. So basically, this is a photo of a water tower here. What the new infrared reflectography technology has been able to do, it's been able to kind of find underneath layers of political posters that we've found. Okay, so it's been able to look underneath layers to find two notices, one on top of the other. Okay. So this is what they're talking about here is just basically punishment of slaves should they be doing the wrong thing. And the next one here is talking about the throwing of excrement and how slaves will be punished as well. So this is showing us the magistrate's warning of the punishment. Should anyone be dumping excrement near the water tower? Okay. So this is them kind of enacting their responsibilities of daily public life. Okay, there's a couple of questions here. If you wanted to do anything extra, I would say understanding the citizenship list. One, as a source, but two, what that kind of gives us insight into around Pompeii and Herculaneum would be quite important. And maybe thinking about what the differences are between political life between the two. Okay. Again, you decide if you want to do it. I've just put a picture of Marcus Nonius Bulbus here, just to act as a mind map for what do you understand, how might you use this as evidence. Nice one to tuck away, and you can even come back to this and add to it later if you want. So when you need to, before studying, before your exams, you can come back and go, oh crap, what do I remember about Marcus Nonius Bulbus? And you can come back and really look at all your notes that you've gathered on him. Okay. Don't forget to go through your booklets as well, and the evidence that we can gain. Remember, even things like political graffiti and stuff like that can really give us an insight into the political life of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Okay, that's it for me. That's it for me, guys. I will release a video soon, and thank you very much.